Samsung just dropped the 7th One UI 8 beta update for the Galaxy S25 series, and that's a big surprise. Most of us thought the testing phase would have wrapped up by now, but clearly, Samsung isn't ready to call it stable just yet. 7 beta builds is a lot, and it raises the question, is this the final one before the big September release, or are we in for even more testing? This matters because One UI 8 is supposed to be a major refinement for Galaxy S25 users. Samsung had promised a stable rollout in September, but with no confirmed date and another beta still dropping, users are understandably impatient. After all, beta testers have been dealing with little quirks and glitches for weeks, while everyone else is stuck waiting for the polished experience. So, what's new in this 7th beta? If you're expecting shiny new features, don't get too excited. Samsung's clearly in bug-fixing mode now. The update, firmware version ZYI3, comes in at just over 600 MB for the Galaxy S25 Ultra, and its main goal is to tighten things up and smooth out the rough edges. One of the standout fixes is on the lock screen. Some users noticed that the clock would stutter or even shift down unexpectedly, which looked messy and out of place. Beta 7 takes care of that. Another annoying issue was with Bluetooth audio. If you've ever had your earbuds cut out or glitch while listening, you know how frustrating that is, and Samsung has worked to resolve those problems here. Text rendering also gets attention in this build. The stretch font now applies properly across the interface. The text thickness is restored in places like the Now bar, status bar, and pin input, and that disappearing quick run icon on the lock screen has finally been fixed. These are small details, but when you add them up, they make a huge difference in how smooth and consistent the overall experience feels. Of course, as with any changelog, there might be more improvements under the hood that Samsung isn't spelling out. Performance tweaks, stability boosts, maybe even minor enhancements. They often slip those in quietly as they prepare for the stable rollout. This late in the beta cycle, it's all about stability and polish. But here's the interesting part. No one really expected this beta program to stretch this far. Usually, Samsung pushes out a handful of test builds, then wraps it up with the stable version fairly quickly. Hitting beta 7 suggests either Samsung is being extra cautious this time, or they've run into more issues than expected during testing. And that's a double-edged sword. On one hand, it's good that Samsung is making sure the final product is as stable and smooth as possible. On the other hand, it does drag out the waiting game for regular users who don't have access to the beta. For Galaxy S25 owners, especially those with the Ultra model, this prolonged beta cycle could actually be a sign of Samsung raising the bar. They know people expect their flagship devices to feel flawless, and with competition heating up from Apple, Google, and Chinese brands, Samsung can't afford to roll out a buggy software update. A shaky launch would damage trust, and that's something they're clearly trying to avoid. So what does this mean going forward? The official word is still that the stable One UI 8 will arrive in September. With this 7th beta, it's likely we're very close to the finish line. If this is the final test, the stable release could land within weeks. But if Samsung feels there's still more to fine-tune, don't be surprised if Beta 8 suddenly appears before the stable version rolls out. Either way, this beta program has already highlighted something important. Software matters just as much as hardware. You can have the most powerful phone on paper, but if the software feels clunky, buggy, or inconsistent, it drags the whole experience down. Samsung seems to understand that, and the effort they're putting into polishing One UI 8 shows how critical it is to their strategy. My take? I'd rather Samsung take their time and deliver a rock-solid update than rush out a stable version that still feels half-baked. Sure, it's frustrating to wait, but once the stable One UI 8 lands, Galaxy S25 users will likely get a smoother, more reliable experience from day one. And if you're not part of the beta, the wait should be almost over. The real test will be whether One UI 8 not only fixes the lingering issues, but also delivers a noticeably better everyday experience. That's what Samsung needs to nail, because in the end, it's not about how many betas you release, it's about how good the final product feels when it finally hits everyone's phones. What's your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments section. See you in the next video. Take care.